Hello everyone, welcome to part 2 of our 4-part series on getting the most out of your library's digital newspapers. My name is Jeff Garrett, and today we will be looking not only at today's newspapers, but at newspapers also of the recent past, and in some cases of the not so recent past, going back to around 1980. Newspapers, of course, go back further than that. They got their start in the late 1600s, but didn't really take off until the Enlightenment of the late 18th century. Other media arrived on the scene and began eating away at the monopoly of newspapers on news. But even today, when people get a lot of their news from blog posts, podcasts, and other online sources, newspapers, now themselves often in digital form, are very important vehicles for reporting news, informing the public, and molding popular opinion. Wouldn't it be great to be able to scan all newspapers at once with a single search to find information we need? What a research tool that would be. Well, for that, you might think we have Google and its offshoot, Google News, but frequently the stories Google turns up are hidden behind a paywall. You have to be a subscriber, and that applies even more often to newspaper archives from past years. Also, Google searches tend to be simple lookups and aren't very configurable. Fortunately, we have something better. Evanston Public Library subscribes to ProQuest's Global News Stream, a digital collection of content from 2,800 newspapers, wire services, blogs, etc. from all over the world, and in dozens of languages. It comes with powerful search tools allowing you to find the proverbial needle in a haystack. Perhaps most importantly, it gets behind just about every paywall standing in the way of content, new, recent, and really old. And of course, you can download the content cleanly, unlike cutting and pasting from an online newspaper, which is often cluttered with advertising and other noise. So, in this tutorial, we are going to show you the basics of searching across close to 3,000 newspapers and other news sources, starting with a simple basic search. Then we will show you how to precisely search and also search more accurately, including for material in other languages. We're going to start with a basic search drawn from the recent news. John Prine was a folk singer born in the Chicago area who died recently at the age of 73. Let's say you were a fan, or a student having to write a term paper on a popular American folk singer, or for that matter, someone who never even knew who John Prine was and wants to find out. So you want to find an obituary, or several obituaries, to find out more about him and his legacy. Well, getting to the Global News Stream is not hard. You start at the library's homepage at EPL.org. You see the Explore tab, let your mouse hover over it, and you'll see several lists of options. Under Research Resources, choose Resources A to Z. You will then see a long alphabetical list of all of our electronic resources. Scroll all the way down to P and to ProQuest. Click on that. Click then also on the bolded title and do it again on the next screen. At this point, you will be asked for your library card barcode number. This must be an Evanston library card, otherwise, sorry, you'll need to contact your issuing library because electronic resources such as this one are community specific. Once you've logged in, then this is what you see next, a simple search box. Let's enter the basic keywords for a simple search. John, Prine, obituary. This search gets us a lot of stuff, over 900 hits, much of it not at all what we were looking for. These are called false drops. The results are sorted by what the system believes is relevance, based on an algorithm which often works, but, well, this time doesn't quite so much. Just on the face of it, there can't be an obituary until someone is dead, so anything from before April 2020 must be a false drop. So we see that a quick and dirty basic search only gets us so far. How do we get rid of all the digital noise? The system is built to help you at this point to improve your results. Once your search has run and the top results displayed, along the left-hand side of your screen, you'll see a list of additional search parameters. These are all clickable, and in each case, clicking opens up a screen where you can change the parameter from a default to something closer to what you want. So let's see what we can do to improve our search. First of all, an obvious fix, let's get rid of the relevant sort and replace it with most recent first. That really is allowing us to just look at the articles published after John Prine's death and then stop. Another way to look only at the most recent articles is to set a date or a range of dates. We do that by clicking on the publication date parameter and then sliding the slider so that we're only looking at one or several decades, years, months, or days, whatever we need to make our search what we want it to be. In this case, you'll see there's a huge spike in articles about John Prine in early April 2020. Guess why? A third tweak we can do is to limit the document type to obituaries. This is a good idea because some obituaries may not be labeled obituary. But when the article is cataloged, the cataloger gives it that label. So click on obituary to limit your search in a useful way. You can also search by person. If you do that after running the basic search, you will see a list of persons who have been indexed in the many articles your basic search retrieved. These tend to be significant mentions and not all mentions, which is what you want. Going back to the basic search for a moment, you can insert quotation marks to turn two or more adjacent keywords into a searchable keyword phrase. In this case, just putting John Prine in quotation marks reduces the retrieval from over 900 to just around 260. But, well, many of these will, of course, still be false drops. But we hope you agree creating keyword phrases using quotation marks can be a very useful tool. We really don't want to overwhelm you, but as you can see, there are many other ways to configure a search and make it more precise. All of these methods proceeding from that very first basic search. We particularly want to point out two powerful features. First, you can limit your search to articles in a language you choose, though then you have to remember to use search terms that are also in that language. And then remember you can use wildcards. These are especially useful for languages where words have endings that change based on where the words appear in a sentence or what other words they are used with. In a Spanish language search, Roj will search for both rojo and roja if you put a question mark after the ROJ. ROJ asterisk, by contrast, will search for rojo, roja, rojos, and many other words starting with roj. Maybe more than you want. So consider your use of wildcard carefully. So again, the strategy we are recommending is this. Start with a basic search, then refine it with any of these strategies. You can also use any combination of these strategies. When you think you've mastered these skills, consider conducting your own search from the advanced search screen. And then you can completely geek out if you really want to. But what is most important to take away from this tutorial is that a basic search will, more often than not, get you what you wanted. And you can then make a tweak or two just to refine it, but most often that will not be necessary. Do you want to test your skills? Then try any of these searches. First as a basic search, and then with the tweaks we recommend, or with others you yourself think of. Thank you for your attention. Next time, in part 3 of this series, we will look at several newspapers where we can allow you to go deep, very deep, like back to the beginning of the 20th century or even further. In the case of the New York Times, all the way back to 1851. So we hope to see you again soon. And thank you much for visiting us today.